Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, and the Star Wars Report's Rebels Roundtable, bringing you a look at another Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars item. This is Age of Rebellion, Stay on Target, a source book for aces. We haven't seen a lot for Age of Rebellion just yet. We've seen a lot of these different type of character-specific guidebooks for Edge of the Empire, but not so much for Age of Rebellion yet. This is the first. And this one is for aces, the Starfighter combat group. Not to be confused with Fly Casual, which is coming for smugglers for Edge of the Empire. Slightly different concept behind that. Again, divided up mainly into 4 sections after a quick introduction. We've got Behind the Stick. This is what starts to get into sort of the mechanics of the characters themselves, of course. I like the fact, if you go to this page, this little double-page spread here, Hot Shots refers to the defection of Clone Wars hotshot ace Aaron Onstall that caused a public relations nightmare with the Empire and created a very public uprising in the Atravus sector. The Atravus sector uprising was something already in the Legends continuity. When Aaron Alston passed away, this book, based on Starfighter combat, a perfect fit for him given the fact that he was behind the Wraith Squadron books and whatnot, it kind of became appropriate that this would be a place to give a quick nod to him after passing away. So Aaron Onstall was something added in here by Keith Capel, or Capel. Didn't realize I didn't know how to pronounce your last name there, Keith. Specifically getting approved by Fantasy Flight Games for that. This is not something you see a lot with Fantasy Flight Games. Not a lot of Tuckerisms, so to speak, where you use people's names. But in this case, it was an homage purposely to Alston, who had contributed so much to the continuity, particularly in terms of Starfighter combat. We've got our ace duties, a little bit more specific than what we've seen before. And now we've got new species. Again, just like what we got with Far Horizons for Edge of the Empire. It's like, this is the one to make yourself kind of ugly. Chadra Fan, Dracelian or Prune Face, and Zexto, not to be confused with Quirmians, of course, that were created off of them. You also, of course, as you go along, are going to get into your specializations, including Beast Riders. Not something I would have normally thought of when you think about pilots. I would not have thought pilot and thought, well, riding a beast is a pilot, but it is, and that certainly makes sense here. We have the Hot Shot, who thinks he's hot shit, and we have the Rigger, more designed with the idea in mind of sort of crafting vehicles and specializing them. Got to wonder if when these guys all get together, if any of them walk into the room and say, "Hey, what's up, my Rigger?" No, probably not. We keep going. We've got some new talents that we can add, and of course, signature abilities as we expect from these books. We've got This One Is Mine, an unmatched survivability for the aces here. Cleared for launch then, of course, is going to be your equipment. We've got stuff like armor, astromech droids, vehicles, lots of ships and whatnot all in here, of course. Kind of what you would expect from this type of chapter. Then we get to dangerous sorties. Not stories, sorties. And this actually, I think, is what makes this book indispensable. Lots of information about adding aces into your campaigns, adding astromechs, type of encounters to use, suggestions for ways to handle things like dog fights and whatnot. Something that could be one of the tougher parts of using the core rulebook for Age of Rebellion and creating dynamic dogfights in an appropriate way. This does a good job of fleshing some of that out. Then we have rules about beast riding and different beasts one might choose to ride. For ace missions, again, suggestions of ways to do it and ways to set it up. There are only 2 suggested adventures and missions in this one, unlike Far Horizons. They give us quite a few. And then it rounds out with things like how to actually become an ace pilot, kill verification, kill tracking, and whatnot as they round things out here. Another of these $30 guidebooks. You can find it for about 20 at places like Miniature Market and elsewhere. Personally, I like it. It's not big on the new Legends continuity material or anything like that, like some of the other guidebooks will often be. There's actually still no clarification whether Age of Rebellion, Edge of the Empire, and Force and Destiny, and all the other Fantasy Flight Game stuff is going to be still Legends continuity like it started, or if it's now meant to be the new canon, even though it's referencing Legends all over the place. They have not clarified that at all. Not to us, and apparently also not to the people behind the scenes. So we'll just have to see on that front. But this is one I think for those who are actually playing the game and who want to focus on starfighter combat at some point, this is an indispensable guide when it comes to adding depth to the combat that was already described well back in the core rulebook. So definitely want to check out. They're off to a good start with these specific character type guides for Age of Rebellion.